Hello, LinkedIn. It has been a crazy day today. It's nearly 6 p.m. and I'm going live now. Usually I do these things a little earlier in the day, but here we are. I just had an incredible conversation with a wonderful, dear client of mine. And today is day 3 of the 21 days LinkedIn Live Challenge, which I'm super excited about. If you have not seen the previous 2 lives, please go ahead and check it out. I've received the most incredible feedback about both of them, that it's been inspiring, transformative, eye-opening, life-altering. So if you don't want to watch it here on LinkedIn, go ahead and find me on YouTube. That's where I store these lives as well. And also go ahead and follow me on Instagram to find out more about what I do at ruta.infusion. Also, before I dive into today's topic, I want to kindly ask you to share these videos with people who you believe will benefit from this, because doing so will help me, but also it will help them, and it will also help the world as a whole, because these videos always have a message that somebody needs to hear. So please take the time, don't hesitate, and share these videos with whoever you believe will benefit from it, either privately or on your platform. I really, really, really appreciate that. And so today I'm going to talk about maturity. I'm going to talk about adulting. I'm going to talk about growing up. I'm going to talk about something that really even I did not realize until about a year ago. I did not realize how we humans tend to remain children for the rest of our lives unless we do something about it. And I want to illustrate this with the conversation that I had with my beautiful, gorgeous, amazing client who I've been working with since summer 2022. Not all the time, but she keeps on coming back. And this time she came back for a 3rd round. So what she tends to do is that we would agree to work for 3 months together, and then she would be pumped with energy, with lots of insights, with a new identity, with ideas of how to move forward, with an actual action plan, but most importantly, who your being changes. And then with all of that new knowledge, new insights, new energy, she would go and live life and create amazing things and manifest incredible things. And then she would be like, oh my God, I need more of this. I feel like I'm hitting a ceiling again and I want to upgrade yet again. So it happened 3 times. And we just had our last call with her, finishing up our 3rd round. And the topic during this round was adulting. In the very beginning of our 3rd round, 3 months ago, I told her that my feeling is that what she's initiating into is becoming a real woman, is becoming an adult, is becoming someone who really takes full radical responsibility for her life, for her happiness, for her decisions, for her emotional stability, for her nervous system regulation, for how she's living her life, how she's responding to situations, how she's acting whenever there is a challenge in her life, in her business, in her relationships, internally, whatever happens. And today, that's exactly what happened. I was listening to her transformation. She's going through some very challenging moment right now in her family. And I was listening to her and I was like, I'm so freaking proud of you. I'm so proud of who you've become. Do you realize that you have actually accomplished that goal that we set in the beginning of our third round? Do you realize that you actually became a woman? And what does it actually mean? What does it mean to become a man, a woman, an adult? What am I talking about? You see, we're all just kids. We all never really grew up. We all happened to be conditioned into thinking a certain way, believing certain things, behaving in order to survive, in order to be loved, in order to succeed, in order to get a promotion, in order to sell your products. We learned as kids to play this game called life so that we get as little damage as possible, and so that we succeed in whichever endeavor we are aiming for. And so we learned all of these patterns of like, okay, if I say this or do this, then people respond a certain way. Then people will take me seriously. Then daddy will give me attention. Then mommy will give me candy. Then my spouse is going to be happy. We learned how to navigate life so that we kind of survive. And so it kind of feels as if we're walking on eggshells. It kind of feels as if we're navigating on a minefield constantly. Like, how do I not screw things up? And this question is really coming from that little child inside of you, from that little human who just wants to be loved, who just wants to be accepted, who just wants to receive something, just be noticed, feel significant, be seen. And if we don't feel seen, then what do then? Then you create drama so that you will be seen. Then you start behaving badly. You become a bully. You become mean towards other people so that then they will notice me. Then they will notice who I am. Then they will see. Then I will receive attention. It's not necessarily the attention that you initially desired, but it's still attention. It's still better than nothing. It's still better than being invisible. Or maybe being invisible is exactly your strategy, because that way you also get your attention. You will just remove yourself from any situation. You will hide. You will sit at the back of the classroom. You will remain small. You will let your husband make all the decisions so that you don't have to be seen. And how will that give you exactly what you need as a little kid? How is that you will feel like your game is winning? You are winning the game. You have created the rules for the game so that you win. And this is exactly how you win. But here's the thing. This is not a fun game to play. Not at all. At some point in life, you start hitting the ceiling. At one point in your life, it's no longer serving you. You start realizing, you know what? I'm just tired of this drama. You know what? It's exhausting. I don't want all these conflicts all the time. I don't want to be seen this way. I don't want this type of attention anymore. Or maybe you realize, you know what? Chasing all this success is just too exhausting. I don't want to be constantly chasing carrots. I don't want to constantly feel like I'm on the edge of a burnout. I don't want to feel like I always have to prove myself. Even if I've accomplished so freaking much, it's insane. Like, look at me. I'm a freaking C-level executive, or a founder, or an artist, a creative, a teacher, whoever you are. You have accomplished so much. And yet, somehow, you still feel like it's not good enough. You still feel like you need more. Why? Because that little boy or girl, yet again, needs something. And so when you reach that phase in life when it's just not good enough anymore, it's just, I don't want to live like this anymore. It's exhausting. I'm tired. I'm sick and tired. I've reached that level when I was 28. When I was 28, I remember in February 2018, there was this friend of mine who posted something on Facebook at the time, because Facebook was a thing back then. And she was like, I'm studying psychology, and my fellow student is looking for someone to practice with because we're working on our final projects. And I was like, oh my God, this is a sign from the universe. I need this. Why did I feel this way? Because I felt like I was living a lie. I was in a relationship where I was taking care of everything financially because my then boyfriend had severe health issues, which I, as a loving partner, thought would go away after 6 months, after a year, or whatever it took, and everything was gonna go back to normal and we'll be fine. And so I took responsibility for our financial situation, for the emotional stability. And that was going on for 3.5 years. And not much was happening. And so imagine this. So before that, let's say when it all started with his health issues, I was probably 25, around 25. Imagine I go to work, go to the office, the job that I hate. I feel like a number. My then boss was a German person who was a micromanager. And I felt like whatever I did was not good enough. I felt like it just made no sense what I was doing on a grand scheme of things. It was purposeless. And so every evening I would come back home exhausted from feeling like I'm just wasting my lifetime on something that doesn't actually matter. And I would come back home, and because my partner was ill, he couldn't work. And not only he couldn't work, he was also emotionally in a very bad space, and he also couldn't really do much around the house. So I would come back home and I would wash the dishes and I would cook something. And then I would realize that I need to go do some grocery shopping. And I would go do that because he couldn't carry the bags physically. And so that was my daily life. And back in February 2018, right before reading that post on Facebook, I started realizing that after doing this for, at the time, probably 2.5, 3 years, 3.5 years, something like that. I don't even remember how long it was going on. I started realizing that I live as if I was a single mother, having a job that I hated, doing something that did not matter. And so, you know what? I didn't matter. I started realizing that my thoughts were somehow around not mattering. But to numb those thoughts, I distracted myself by watching Netflix nonstop, episode after episode after episode. I was online shopping compulsively, constantly checking my social media accounts, Instagram. That's why at one point I deleted my Instagram for a few years, and I absolutely was like, I will never go back again. I did come back eventually because I healed that part. But also, on top of that, I was binge eating. And binge eating started from my mom's loss because I was also not allowing myself to fully grieve. And so imagine someone who's 25, 6, 7 years old. Shortly after her mom passes away, seemingly supposed to live her best life because she just moved abroad. But then she finds herself living this life where she starts wondering if her life actually matters. Now, please don't get me wrong. I didn't have suicidal thoughts or anything like that. I never had suicidal thoughts, ever. I just wondered, is this really how I'm going to continue living my life? Is this really it? Is this it? Really? That's it? And so I found myself in this relationship for 4.5 years at the time. And I'm like, if I'm marrying this person, which I thought I would one day, because when I met him, it was like, oh my God, this is it. This is the one. This is the one. This is my future husband. Such an amazing human being. I loved him so much. But then I had to do a reality check in with myself. Do I see myself thriving in life with this person? Do I see us thriving as human beings and as a couple together? If we continue this way, and if we decide to marry one day, how will our lives look like? And that's when it really started breaking my head completely, because I was so devoted to this human being, just as he was to me. I was so committed to him, to our relationship. I loved him so much from the depth of my soul. I could do anything. I was doing everything that I could. Even when his own family wasn't there for him, I was there. I was always there. In my mid freaking 20s, doing all of that. When you're supposed to live your best life and have fun and all that great stuff, travel the world, I was paying bills for two people. And so, when that post on Facebook landed, I knew that it was a sign from the universe that something needs to change. You need to talk to someone. You need to figure it out. And so I started working with my very first coach. I mentioned her name, Barbara. Bless her. She truly changed my life. And I remember I met her the very first time. And I said, Barbara, listen, I don't know what the hell is going on with my life, but I'm not happy. It freaking sucks. My career just, it's not great. I'm doing all the right things. I'm climbing the career ladder. I'm getting the promotions. It's all fine. But I hate it. It's just not fun. I just don't like it. And you know what? Probably, I don't know. I don't even know if that's really the problem, but in general, I'm just not happy. But I know one thing. It's absolutely trillion% not because of my relationship. So we don't even have to talk about it. Imagine what happened next. 3 months later, my then boyfriend and I break up after 5 years. After nearly 5 years of living together, after planning our future together. And it happened in a way that it truly broke my heart. I remember like it was yesterday. I was literally in Berlin apartment. We moved together. We lived in Brussels together, and then we moved to Berlin. I remember I broke down on the floor. I couldn't move anymore. I felt like this is it. This is just my entire life is a complete collapse. And when people say they hit the rock bottom, well, that was my rock bottom. Crying on the floor, feeling like nothing matters, everything is crumbling. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. I don't know what the hell is happening. And so it happened. But you know what happened at the same time? Is that I realized that love is not enough. Sometimes we might love people with our whole hearts. Sometimes we are so devoted to them. Sometimes we are so committed. But you know what? It's just not enough. You're just not meant for each other. It's just not it. And so now, how many years later? 6.5 years later, I look back with so much gratitude that it happened. Just as I have so much gratitude for losing my mom, the weirdest thing I could ever say, right? How can I be grateful for my mom's loss? Makes no sense. How can I be grateful for breaking his heart, breaking my own heart? How? Like, it makes no freaking sense. But you know what? Everything after that summer in 2018 is a million times better today. Everything from that moment on, when I was on that floor, is so freaking much better. That's when I really started rebuilding myself, reinventing myself, learning who I really am, learning what really matters to me, understanding what my values are, what's important, what I desire, what am I dreaming about? I forgot how to dream. And Barbara finally helped me to reconnect with that, with imagination. And so I'm sharing this story for you to think about. Where in your life are you clinging onto something like a child, like a boy or a girl who needs something from the other person? Maybe you need significance. Maybe you want to feel like a good girl or a good boy. Maybe you want to feel loved or needed. Maybe you want to feel validated. Where are you clinging onto? Maybe your position at work. Maybe your friendship that's toxic. Maybe your marriage or your relationship that's not working at all and you know it, but you cling on to it. Maybe it's that business that you keep trying to make work, but your heart is not in it. Where are you clinging? Because I promise you, whenever you cling onto something, it's not you who's clinging onto it. It's that child inside of you who needs something from it, who is benefit somehow from it. And so you might ask, so how did I benefit from clinging onto that relationship with a person who was ill for that long? You know what? So many people were asking me, my closest people, my friends, my family members, my godmother was even asking, why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you still with him? And it makes me cry when I remember the moment when my godmother asked me that question. And I was like, you have no idea what it means to love someone so dearly and to want the absolute best for them and not to give up on them. People did not understand why I did it. And I thought that I did it in order, not in order, but because I loved him. I thought I did it because I saw a future with him. And that was true. It was true to some extent. But what was also true is that my little girl inside of me wanted to be seen as a good girlfriend, wanted to be seen as a good person, wanted to be seen as someone who cares, who loves unconditionally. And that came with a price, because that came with the price of sacrificing my own well-being, my own sanity, my own dreams, my own goals, my own priorities. Because back then I thought, but wait a second, if I'm a good person, if I'm a good girlfriend, then I love my partner no matter what it is, no matter what's going on, right? And I stay with them no matter what. That's what a good person does. But I didn't realize at the time that sometimes we need to put ourselves first. Sometimes we need to do things differently than what other people would expect from us. Doing things differently, even from what we would expect from ourselves. You see, I shared that story yesterday, how my mom was not in a happy marriage with dad. And so I subconsciously created this story that sticking together is a good thing. Sticking together is how you make things work. Sticking together is what love is, unconditional love is. It's so messed up. And I'm so freaking happy that it all happened. That I learned these lessons. Even if it was painful, excruciating, exhausting, tiring, soul killing, it was devastating. But now looking back, that's why I am where I am in life. That's why I have so much gratitude for the smallest little things. That's why I don't need much. I appreciate the beauty and simplicity because I put myself first so that I then can pour my energy into other people's lives so that your life becomes better too. And so, again, I really want you to think about, where are you clinging onto something that doesn't serve you anymore? Where are you not allowing yourself to just live, have fun, do something for you? Where do you feel like you constantly compromise, constantly pleasing other people, making sure everybody else is all right, making sure everyone else is happy, making sure no one is shocked about this new version of you? Because I promise you, people do get used to the new version of you. And next thing you know, they're actually looking forward to the next version of you, and the next, and the next, and the next. Because every single iteration is better and better and better. Every single iteration is kinder and more loving and more grateful and more appreciative and just more fun to be around. Because you see, that's precisely what I was having a conversation with my dear client today. That I wish people understood how important it is to do this work, how important it is to understand who you really are, to start making those hard, challenging decisions, how important it is to learn navigating life, not from a place of like, I'm a child on a minefield or on eggshells, but I know who I am. I know what I want. I know exactly where I'm going. I know it's not easy, but I'm taking it in. I know it's not an easy task, but I'm moving the mountains. When you start doing this work, when you start truly maturing, what happens is that nothing can stop you anymore. There's no challenge, there's no issue, there's nothing on the entire planet that you cannot handle. Nothing. Suddenly, you become so sure of yourself. You become so powerful, so strong, so firm, like a mountain. Himalayas or Alps, where you're like, wind can blow, it can snow, it can rain, earthquakes can happen. I'm still gonna be here. And if anything, I'm actually gonna grow taller, like a freaking mountain. That's what happens when you do this work. You become an actual adult. And I want this planet to have more adults. I want more people on this planet to become real women like my client became, to become real men who know how powerful they are, not because they have to prove anything, not because they need to appear a certain way, not because they need to show some accomplishments or money or a nice house or a nice car, but they know who they freaking are. Nothing wrong with having amazing things in life. Nothing wrong with driving a nice car. But if you're just driving a nice car, living in a nice house, but you're still a child, guess what? Those are just toys. Those are just toys. But then, if you actually become a real mature man, a real mature woman, an actual adult, then those are byproducts. Those are just comfort, pleasure, joy. Those are not subjects to show off. Those are not just toys to play with and feel like, look, see, now that makes me more significant or attractive. So this life can seem like quite a tough pill to swallow. This life is a wake-up call. This life is intended to make you realize that it's time to do something. If you feel the nudge, if you feel like you've been drifting, pretending, escaping, numbing, distracting, it's time to do something about it. And again, I am here to support those people and guide those people who take full radical responsibility, who want to be a better man, a better woman, who want to grow, who want to evolve, who want to heal, who want to create incredible things in their lives, who want to attract amazing partners, who want to improve their marriages or partnerships, who want to build wild successes in their businesses, in their careers, who want to have incredible, amazing, world-changing, altering impact. Those people who actually take responsibility for it. They don't play it as a game. They don't want to be kids anymore. They're done with the drama. They're done with the playground. They're ready to actually stand up and be a real human. And by the way, this doesn't mean that you can't be playful and childlike and be silly and quirky. I am like that all the time, honestly. But my invitation here is for you to investigate. Investigate. Are you being a baby? Are you being a child? Are you being a boy or a girl? Or are you actually being an adult? Are you ready to mature and take full radical responsibility? So that is it for today's live, day 3. Please, yet again, if somebody needs to hear this, if somebody needs to wake up, if somebody needs to have a little bit of a kick in the butt, if somebody needs someone who is not you to hear that they need to move things, they need to do something to move the needle, then please share this video with them. And other than that, have a wonderful rest of the day and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.